as always, I did want to start in recognition that the work that Lance Table does mostly takes place on the traditional unceded and stolen lands of the Secwepemc people and the Silks people. I say mostly because we are working in collaboration with a number of different organizations into the Shuswap and Columbia regions and into the South Okanagan. So we are able to connect with a number of different folks on a lot of different traditional territories these days. And in our work, where we're feeding community, working to transform food systems, working toward long-term food security and resilience, we really recognize that positioning Indigenous ways of knowing and being and Indigenous food sovereignty are critical to the kind of change that we are trying to create. And so we like to begin with gratitude to the original stewards of the food lands and waterways here. And I also wanted to start by introducing myself because we will share this recording and my colleague, Sammy Blair. I'm Liz Blakeway. I'm the executive director of Land Table. I've been in the role in kind of changing and growing capacities for about 7 years now, and I'm the lead on the Food Shed project. And Sammy's our food security manager with Lance Table. She oversees a number of different projects and collaborations pertaining to food security. And her role with this project is to build or is to focus on the relationship development with farmers and organizations who will be connecting into the food shed specifically. So the purpose of today is really to introduce the food shed. We shared it publicly in March, and we've had lots of people reach out to say, what are you doing? So we wanted to take this time to introduce the food shed, which is a project of Land Table and really a culmination of many years of listening to the food system network in the North Okanagan and beyond, and working to fill local food infrastructure gaps. Today is also about explaining some of the details. So the who, what, when, where, and whys of the food shed. We'll share our mission and vision and an overview of our plan for the project. And then we'll also share a bit about how producers, community organizations, and in some cases, the public can get involved. And we'll end by opening up questions to you because this project is adapting and evolving as we build it. And so we're finding that questions are really helpful in having us hone in on the details of how it all will work. But I really like to start any presentation with a brief overview of who we are. So Land Table is a cross-regional food system network. The network includes local farmers, processors, distributors, retailers, chefs, community organizations, and government agencies, as well as academics, academic institutions, and Indigenous communities. So these are really the people, places, and processes that make up our food system and our local food network. And together as a network, we're working to build a thriving, healthy, just, and resilient regional food system that nourishes and connects people, sustains livelihoods, regenerates the environment, and builds community. This is our vision, but we also like to think of this as our common goal. So as a network, we're really working to create connections and to collaborate across the food system, to build capacity across a number of different organizations so that we can work together to mobilize ideas, knowledge, and energy across our food system, again, towards that common vision. We really believe that a well-connected and coordinated network can achieve big goals. So we talk about our work as kind of having a fourfold function. We build the network, and we do that through regular communications, events, knowledge sharing, newsletters, social media. We also carry out action like projects, and that comes from network guidance in terms of what is needed. And the focus is really on action that supports strengthening our food system and community food security. And we also work to enhance regional capacity, so working across many different organizations so that we can have greater impact together. And then the last piece that is something that we still are building slowly is a focus on food systems and food security advocacy. And so that's really advocating at different levels of government or with different organizations for the change that we want to see. Okay, that's probably enough of an overview of us. Um, and perhaps the first kind of point about the food shed to share is like why us? Why is Land to Table undertaking a project like the food shed development? Certainly, it's the biggest kind of action that we've taken as an organization, and it comes from years of collaborative projects that Land to Table has undertaken. I'd say 5 to 7 years, where we're working to grow our local food economy, increase access to local food, so food that's grown here to the communities who live here, strengthen our community food security as a whole or more broadly, and increasing food system resilience so that we can weather these increasing disruptions. Lions Table really believes that everyone who lives here should have access to the food that's grown here. And that includes folks from school and university students to hospital patients, single parents, and food bank recipients. These are typically the places where it's been more difficult to get local food for a variety of reasons that we've kind of taken a deeper dive into over the years. We also hold strong that both household food security and community food security um, are directly connected to strong local farm businesses and strong regional food economies. So for years, we've been engaging groups and businesses across the regional food system to help identify some of the key gaps in our local food system. The first is local food infrastructure, like cold storage. The second is access to a diversity of sales market opportunities for our farmers, so beyond farmers market sales. Um, and I should say for small and medium scale farmers in particular, that's really been our focus. And the third is access to local distribution channels, which have been difficult for, again, for a variety of reasons. Um, but over the years, we've also been able to work quite closely with key funding partners like United Way BC to build our capacity as an organization to take on more work and to help facilitate funding investments in our food economy or food system. But we've also worked to build trust with these key funders so that they know and see that we have a strong understanding of regional needs, but also that we have strong connections to regional organizations and partners. And I think it's because of those relationships that has led us to the point where we can develop this major project. So after years of sharing these regional needs with the United Way in particular, last year, they invited us to apply for a large food infrastructure grant to really help turn the many years of conversations into real action. So we spent about a year going through a planning phase and a proposal development and had a lot of back and forth with the United Way about what we were proposing to do and how that might work. And on March 17th, we gathered at the Armstrong site where we'll be building the food shed with Harwinder Sandhu, who's the Parliamentary Secretary for Agriculture and the MLA for Vernon Lumby, and Lana Popham, who's the Minister of Agriculture and Food, to announce and to celebrate really $1 million investment that's coming from the province of BC through the Social Development and Poverty Reduction Ministry. And that $1 million will go towards the development of the food shed. Here's some really great pictures of the day. So, what is the food shed? We've been having a lot of questions like, what are you doing? How is it different from what's already been done? And we have done a fair bit of work over the last couple of months, in particular, to hone in on our communications about what this thing is. So the food shed is an Armstrong-based wholesale warehouse that is working to connect our communities, schools, institutions, social service agencies, and nonprofit organizations specifically to year-round local affordable food that's grown here by our regional farmers. I think, actually, maybe you can go to the next slide. The food shed is will hopefully ensure that we have more local food for local community members. It will connect our small and medium scale farmers and our community organizations, again, through this kind of centralized warehouse. It offers farmers, we hope it offers farmers, will offer farmers a reliable wholesale outlet, but it also will offer regional buyers, like these organizations in particular, with reliable access to affordable, locally grown produce. We're aiming to provide local produce all year round through processing, packaging, freezing, storing. And in turn, we hope that this will help strengthen our local food economy. It will help bolster local food production and increase access to local food. But it really is focused on getting local food to our local community members who maybe typically haven't been able to access food as easily as those who can go to the farmer's market, for example. So the food shed will operate out of the Rancho Vignola building. So that's the old Armstrong Dairy building in Armstrong. Will operate under a sublease in partnership with Valley Direct, who will be our warehousing and distribution partner. We think that this partnership is a unique aspect of this project that perhaps differentiates us from other, say, provincial food hubs, because we have had that question, how is this different? Valley Direct isn't going anywhere. We've had some people reached out to them to say, oh no, is Land to Table, is the food shed taking over your space? We are not taking over. We will be working in partnership with them, and they are an independent food distributor. Their business will continue to operate as normal. But I think through our partnership, again, this is what is unique about this is Land to Table and the food shed gains to access expertise in warehousing and the potential to share vehicles and distribution routes to get food to organizations more easily. And that includes rural and remote locations as well, through Valley Direct's existing distribution routes. And what this means for us is that we can really focus on developing strong relationships with suppliers who are our regional farmers and our customers, our community organizations, and tap into that warehousing and distribution expertise, which means we don't have to know how to do everything in this very major endeavor for us. Okay, that's kind of the basics. Who's Land to Table? What is the food shed? I'm going to pass it over to Sammy now, and she'll share a little bit more about our vision and mission and the function of the food shed.
Thanks, Liz. So the food shed vision for now is to have local food flow seamlessly from the land and local producers to organizations in service of our communities. And our mission is to connect regional food producers with agency partners in schools through a warehouse that helps to ensure year-round access to fresh, affordable, locally grown food. So if you're to summate the last 20 minutes, that is what we're doing. And we'll have quite a few functions at the centralized warehouse. So as a central procurement space, we will do primary processing, packing, and distribution. We plan to undertake crop contracting to provide market predictability to farm businesses and producers, to sell and distribute fresh, raw, and whole food in bulk, as well as to do some primary processing. So that includes chopping, dicing, grating, cubing, packaging produce as cold and frozen product that can be used in large batch meal preparation for things like school meal programs. We hope to provide cold and frozen food storage for farmers and organizations that maybe want to manage their own food program or food stores. We're exploring processing space rentals. So if an organization or a farmer wants to process their own food, what would that look like in terms of renting them space? We hope to develop co-packing and cross-docking opportunities to facilitate preserving local food and to help community organizations get food from point A to point B, even if it's not our own. And we hope to facilitate large volume food donations to deliver to food banks and social service agencies who wouldn't otherwise be able to accept high volumes. And this is something that came out of the Rural Food Bank study, is that there's plenty of food that spaces and suppliers want to donate to food banks, but in our rural and remote regions, these smaller food banks don't have the loading docks or storage capacity to be able to receive them. And so we're hoping to fill that infrastructure need in the way that we can receive that food, distribute it to different food banks, and then ideally be able to process food that's left over to make sure that it doesn't go to waste. We're going to provide a membership and credit structure for both suppliers and on the demand side, where membership offers benefits like marketing and space access to producers, and a credit system will make donated food available to local organizations. We're going to provide fair prices for farmers while also making sure those prices are affordable for buyers. And we hope to incubate wholesale producers. And so this looks like supporting farmers to grow into this market channel and ideally increase local food production over time. We call it wholesale ready. So we're developing and we will continue to develop resources to help with this incubation. In terms of timing, our future timeline is in early stages of development, so this will likely adapt and change as we go. We're currently in phase 2 here, so we're confirming members, suppliers, customers, and tenants. So if you are on this call or you're listening to this video and you really want to get involved, now is the time to be able to give your feedback to make sure that the food shed can work for you. You can do so by contacting me, Sammy, at landandtable.com, or reaching out via the website or any of our channels. We're hoping that the infrastructure is ready to go. It needs to be built by March 2026, next spring, and ideally we're launching soon thereafter in April, and kind of testing out those first items and products and services over next spring and summer. And then over the next 4 to 5 years, we'll use an adaptive management system in order to make sure that the whole food shed is working for everyone involved. Ideally, we reach financial sustainability by 2030. So how can you get involved in the food shed? If you are a producer, a community organization, or a member of the public, which I think includes everybody, you can get involved in the food shed, which is really exciting. So as producers, we are looking for local, small to medium scale farmers who are interested in having consistent and reliable market opportunities, fair pricing, aligned values, whether that be regenerative, organic, sustainable, just working conditions. We're hoping to make sure that what we offer aligns with your values as a farmer or producer. If you're a farmer that wants access to new large wholesale markets, you're able to diversify your revenue streams. If you're looking for storage space, whether that's cold, dry, or frozen, if you're looking for light processing and packaging of products, a network of like-minded producers and purchasers, organized administrative support to help you scale up and become wholesale ready, or potentially community engagement opportunities to teach skills and knowledge around food literacy and agricultural expertise. We are asking that any producers who hope to be involved are able to deliver their washed and clean product to the food shed, and also that you agree to shared expectations for quality standards and communication that we will develop collaboratively and together. Just a note here that we are exploring pickup options for the future, but initially we will need this delivery option, and that if you are unable to wash your produce, to please reach out, because amidst our network, we have other farmers who can help you with your washing, and we'd love to connect you to them. If you are a community organization and you want reliable, consistent access to affordable, nutritious, local year-round food, we want to hear from you. We're hoping to be able to offer additional donation and food recovery opportunities. The great thing with partnering with Valley Direct is they offer non-perishable retail food items and things like packaged meat and dairy that we don't offer yet. And so while you're ordering from the food shed, there will also be opportunities to get those food items from our partner. If you're hoping for support in building and distributing cost recovery food programs, we can help aggregate, source, and potentially pack food recovery programs like good food boxes or frozen meals. If you're hoping for fundraising support to purchase local food, we're developing a credit system where we can co-fundraise on behalf of your individual organization, which will be really exciting and help you have more access to that local food we're offering. And you'll have access to a connected bioregional food system, providing consistent food access, especially in times of emergency. So this is kind of an added benefit of the food shed, is it's our step towards emergency preparedness, just in connecting the farmers and organizations across the 3 or 4 regions that we've spoken with so far. And we ask that our community organizations who hope to be involved will agree to communication and partnership expectations. Again, those are in development, so if you want to be part of those conversations of what those look like, please reach out. And finally, the public. So if you're not a farmer and you're not representing a community organization, we'd still love for you to be involved in the food shed. We will be looking for community support in various stages of our launch. The first is the financial support for capital improvements to the warehouse space. So $1 million is amazing, but it's just not quite enough. And so we will be doing some fundraising here in the near future to continue to build support for our capital improvements. If you'd like to support individual organizations or the food shed as a whole as an organization, we'll be soliciting monetary donation to support people in accessing more local food. Eventually, we will have volunteer opportunities, and we will share out when those become available. And finally, a free step and something that doesn't take too much time is we're asking the public to help connect our community. So if you know a farmer that would like to grow food, and for that food to go back into their community, please put them in touch with us. Or if you're an agency currently purchasing food and you'd like to be involved in the development of our systems, also please reach out. So that's it on the presentation side. I'm going to stop recording here and then we're going to open it up for questions and ideas if folks have some thoughts.